Welcome to Old Grump's Garage. So now that we've cleared the transmission, the alternator's too low, preventing it hit the mount on that side. And the air conditioner compressor is too low on this side. So as you can see, the oil pan and oil filter aren't going to clear the cross member, so we need a rear sump oil pan for the LS2 out of the GTO, so that'll be the next thing we do. All right, so I've been talking to you, but it hadn't been recording. So taking all the pan bolts out, windage tray bolts out, and the oil pickup tube out. So our disassembly is now complete. So new windage tray, and it's conveniently labeled front on the front, so it should prevent me from making too big of a mistake. I know this pickup tube's got to use a couple of these. It's going to go. Ugh. Of course, the one I screwed on is the one it's going to use. What's the chances of that, right? Pretty freaking good in my world. It's going to go on those two. They recommend that you lubricate the O-ring, the pickup tube. So your choices are using motor oil or Vaseline. I'm just going to give it a little dab of oil. And then you want to wiggle it in place so that you don't crush the O-ring. Just the method of wrenching it down. Yeah. bracket don't look quite where he should, does he? Yeah, get on there. I think this has been there. All right, everybody's going in place now. Nope. The one here, or the pickup tube where it bolts on the torque tube was giving me a little bit of a fit here. It's like the ear had been bent. So I had to reshape it to get it to line up. All right. The pickup tube has been carefully torqued down by hand so as not to round it off. And we'll tighten up the rest. Tighten up the rest of the windage tray. Okay, windage tray is nice and tight. And then I'm gonna clean up my mating surface one more time. She's in her final resting place, and plenty of clearance with the new oil pan. We can work out cross member later, not today. So when you put the rear sump oil pan on, there's a freeze plug right there, just past the starter, that you have to pull out, and that's where the dipstick goes. Hey y'all, so let's talk lessons learned. So if you're putting a car LS engine into your AD Chevy 3100 49 through first series 55 Chevy pickup truck, first problem is going to be the oil pan, because the cars have a front sump oil pan. You're going to need a rear sump. We use the GM LS swap muscle car oil pan kit, which comes with the pickup tube, the pan, oil plug, all new bolts, and the windage tray and all new bolts for it. Nothing had to be modified. It all went together smoothly with no modification, a simple bolt-on process. Thank you, General Motors. This pan has a metric thread for the oil filter, and it either uses the 48 short or it uses the 63 long. So I'm going with the 63, give me a little bit more oil filter capacity, give us better filtration. So those are the things you need to know about that. And finally, hard lesson learned on my part, LS engines have a provision for a rear sump oil pan dipstick. The car, the GTO that we scavenged this motor out of, the dipstick went directly in the pan, not through the block for the front sump. For the rear sump, there's a plug on the side I showed you earlier in the video that has to be removed before you can put the dipstick in for the rear sump oil pan. It's a lot easier if you know this ahead of time. While you have the oil pan off, you can just take a punch it through. If you do it the hard way, like I ended up having to do after the engine's already in the vehicle, I put oil on a self-tapping screw so that any metal shavings would stick to that oil. And then I carefully drilled into that plug, and then took a pair of vice grips and pulled the plug out. Food for thought. If you're doing this and you got the engine out and you're pulling the pan off, go ahead and knock that plug out then, save yourself a lot of grief. Learn from my mistakes. As always, we thank you for watching. Please subscribe and make sure you click the bell so you get notifications. YouTube's not the greatest in the world about giving you notifications for the channels you watch when new videos are out, but if you'll click that bell, every time you log into YouTube, if there's new content, it'll come up right there in your notifications, and you'll see it, and you'll know that we've got more content for you to watch. And as always, learn from my mistakes and don't be dumb.